Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, wait for some more time or should we start? Shall we start? We'll wait for another 3 minutes. They will start at 6:45 if they join or they don't join. I expected that Akanksha will join. Okay, I think better we start. Maybe others could join later. Uh, because yesterday also we ran short of time. Actually, I took up to, I don't know, 9:15 or something like that. I do understand on Saturday evenings people will be bit busy towards their personal work and other things, but it's good that some of you have joined. Okay, before I go ahead, like I said, uh, I mean, yesterday we discussed the OOU of 13485. And guys, I am telling you, like, I don't know how many, I mean, most of you, like, you'll be having your career in medical devices, or you may switch to other careers. But as long as you're in a medical device career, I am telling you, maybe it's 10 years or 20 years or till your retirement. I'm telling you very categorically, crystal clear, no ambiguity. that ISO 134 is going to be the central point in any medical device field. Okay. Of course, there will be some revisions, there will be some amendments that happens. Okay. See, it's like it started in 93 and there were some revisions. 2023, it was again came out with new revisions and new standard. 2016, okay, again some more revisions happened. So evidently there could be some amendments, changes, revisions happens for the betterment of the patient or the safety of the patient. Okay. But I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know like how you are planning your career. You want to be in medical devices, okay? And again, I'm telling you, whether it's in quality or regulatory or in any other service, whether you are in purchase or something like you are in clinical, okay, even if you are in marketing, something like that, still it is imperative that you need to know, understand ISO 13485. And for people like those who are in QARA, okay, they need to understand it in depth. Okay, it's not like superficially you study something. Of course, some clause you need to, I mean, avoid. Some clause you can skip. But overall, like you should have an very pragmatic understanding on 13485. Again, I am saying like uh, you can as you progress, there could be a lot of revisions. As you should keep updated. It's not like you will be there with me, or I'll be updating you after 1 year or 5 years. Okay, you should keep updating what will be the revisions that are happening. And secondly, as I said yesterday, also I discussed it could need some memory to understand. I mean, to grasp it. Okay. A little bit of logic to connect the processes. Okay, mainly in the clause 8 of the complaint handling or COPPA and other things which need to reconnect to devices. So I advise that after my sessions, okay, that's the reason I shared you, though I was busy today, I shared you a lot of documents. Okay, so that you can have an overview of what the documents are. I think somebody has sent to me like whether they are SOPs or other documents. They are not SOPs. The documents which I shared are not SOPs. There are the quality system manuals. Okay, I'll tell you, I told you like quality manual is the top level document. In top level document, you don't write everything. It is only as per the clause. Okay, you have 8 clause. Okay, you give the summary of the clause and summary of the subclause. It's not that you detailedly write everything what basically you do in the SOPs. Okay, you have a clause like scope. You'll write the scope of it and give some explanation. Okay, definitions. I mean, clause 2 is like normative references, just is one paragraph. Class 3 is definitions. Definitions, whatever definitions are applicable for your organization, you give it. And that's the reason I shared you ISO 9000, okay, which contains all definitions. Okay, whether it's vocabulary definitions or abbreviations, that is the standard. You can't give your own definition of what you like or you find in some Oxford English dictionary. Okay, there is a standard to take out your definitions or abbreviations of the vocabulary. So what I'm trying to say is the documents which I shared are basically from the quality manual. Okay, some people call in US they call it as, I mean, US call it, it's named as QSM, quality system management. Okay. It's same like quality manual only. I mean, US guys are a bit different. They want to be show some difference apart from others what we do. But it's overall quality manual. Again, I said it's a level one document. Okay, I think Masjid or somebody has typed Masjid yourself only.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good you ask that. So it's a level one document. What we do is we'll give a summary of everything what we are doing in quality manual. Okay. Basically, some people call it as corporate manual. It's not that it will describe A to Z of what's happening. We'll give a summary, like say when you write a publication or when you do some project, we'll give a summary of it. Okay, when you want to publish, you have seen some publications or review articles or research publications. First, you will have the summary. Okay, summary speaks of everything. So when you write a summary or an abstract, what you do? You talk about the objectives of your work. Okay, you write of the methodology, what are the results, discussion, and conclusion. Okay, in similar way, quality manual is also all clause will discuss. Okay, in a concise manner, and also the subclause. And that is the reason why I shared those documents with you to have an apt understanding on how the quality manual look like. It's just a framework. Quality manual differs from one company to another company. Okay, I've given a framework of that. Abhishek, please mute your audio.
Sir, I'm trying to do it. Just give me a second. Can you mute?
ईशान जी आपको आप म्यूडियो म्यूट कर दो ना आपको.
Sir, just a second. I'm trying to do, but I'm not able to do at my end, sir.
I'll
Can
wait
you,
for
sir?
a minute, not a. You're on mobile?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, I'm driving, sir. Can you mute my mic? Sir, I'm not able to do at my end, sir.
What should I do? Should I mute you? If I mute, I have to mute all. Okay, I'll try to mute you. Yeah, I've done it. Okay. Yeah. What I'm saying?
Talking about the quality manual, sir.
Yeah, quality manual. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, if you can write a quality manual, I think you are at level at a very high level. Like it's very difficult to write a quality manual. Okay, because you need to summarize all clause. Okay, something like clause 2, 3, 4, and clause 5, 6, 7 are how big, and including clause 8. You need to summarize everything and put them in some 15, 20 papers or pages. But it should speak of everything. It's not like I skip something and make it short. Okay, and that is the difficulty of, like, say, when you write a publication or when you write an article, okay, it's very easy to write 10 pages or 12 pages of an article or a research publication. But your writing skills will come out when you need to summarize all the 12, 13 pages into one paragraph. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir. Exactly true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the toughest job. Even I felt when I'm at the end of my career doing my PDF in Germany, I found very difficult how to make this so concise. I mean, it's running, when I try to concise it, it's running into 20, 30 sentences. But still they want it in some 500 words. Okay, how to write a 20-page paper covering everything into 500 words? So quality manual is something like that. Okay, you'll have 100 pages of documents, but you need to concise and complement it with some 20 pages. Okay, and that's the reason I shared that content with you in the afternoon. So go through it. Okay, and I said it's just a framework, because a lot of things changes from company to company. If you want any help, like if you want me to write a quality manual for your company, I can do it. Okay, like any startups who are there here, anyone, any company want, of course, there are some are globally reputed companies are also there in this. Any startup company, you want me to write a quality manual, I'll write it very professional way. Okay, corporate quality manual. Of course, most of your companies would have that, but you review your quality manual, and based on our discussion today, you see what is missing or what you can add, and try to find what are missing, what is the justification where we need to do. Okay, and the other most important thing I said is like, make this session very, I mean, not this session, any session interactive. Okay, ask me questions, stop me anywhere, because I mean, you can talk, you can unmute and talk with me. It's not that in chat box you write something, because I never look at chat box, I mean, the charts. Okay, because once it becomes interactive, if you raise more questions only, I feel good. Okay, if you stop me or block me, I mean, that's a better way that I feel like you have questions and you are in the right direction to learn. Okay, traditionally we used to have this, like, if you don't have questions there, paradoxically, there are two chances if you don't have any questions. You know that, I think you would have heard that one is either you understood everything, the second is you didn't understand anything. Okay, this is a very old way, paradoxical way of saying when we are in schools, that if you don't ask doubts, okay, teachers used to say, and I still believe that if you don't have any doubts, either you got everything or you didn't understand everything. That's why keep it interactive. If you ask any basic doubts also, I don't take it wrong. We are here to learn. And the other important thing I tell you is, one thing people, of course, I mean, there is always a debate on people who have experience have a better understanding than those who don't have experience. Okay, and the other side of the coin is on the qualification. Those who are qualified can understand better, or those not qualified may not grasp better. But I don't believe in that. Okay, experience is just something stupid. I don't find any rational in experience. And qualification is something which I kick it to bottom line. Okay, qualification doesn't matter. Maybe it matters 5-10% where you understand the terminology better. Okay, experience is always, I feel it's very absurd and stupid. So the important thing is, apart from education, experience, what you need to do is how you grasp it and logically understand it. See, somebody who works for 5 years, okay, and there is a guy who works for only 1 year, can have the same understanding on ISO 13485 or any other subject. It depends upon how you approach it, how you understand it, okay, logically, and apply it. So don't worry about your experience. Somebody has 10 years or 5 years or 1 year. Okay, it's ISO is the standard for everybody, 13485. And I've told you, like, it will be there till lifelong of your career if you are in medical devices. And there is no way that we can avoid 13485. Okay, sometimes I thought of doing it early in my career because I felt it, I'm not connecting to it, or I felt it little dry subject. Okay, but I mean, without 13485, whether you are in QARA or in clinicals or PMS, regulatory, anything. So we need to understand. So guys, I think most of you were there yesterday. We had looked at the overview of what this stuff is, 13485. We understood the importance of it. We reviewed some of them and there were some clarifications asked. And just today, I'll in next 1-2 minutes, okay, type in 2 words or 3 words. I think Madhu was not there. Madhu was not there yesterday. I think most of you are there. Just type in a word or a sentence to you what you feel about ISO 13485. Bottom line, like what is the essence of 13485? Okay, type in chatbot or the chat. It's not a chatbot. It's just a chat. Type in chat. Yeah. Vaibhav says something. Yeah, Madhu, you can also type Madhushree. No, what basically is ISO 13485? Don't ask AI or Google. Okay. Yeah, Aman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, type something. Yeah.
Yes, I am typing, sir. Wait a second.
You're on mobile.
No, sir, I'm on laptop, sir.
Yeah, great. Madhu, are you there?
You're asking me?
You're there. I mean, to your understanding, just type in a word or two. What is the essence of YSO 13485? It's quality, or a lot of people talked about continuous quality and safety, product safety, patient safety, performance. That's fine. Since Madhu was not there yesterday. Yeah, whoever has typed in the chat,
I'm typing, sir.
yeah, please do it. I'll wait. No, I said no. I mean, this is a learning session. You can type anything. There's nothing like you. You have to do everything right. Yeah, I know most of you had some ample understanding on what ISO 13. Even Madhu has Yeah, harmonized procedure, guidelines for quality, continuous improvement, control of documents. Okay, of course, you are typing all the clause. Okay. Of course, Madhu has given a better statement on betterment of quality of product. Okay, and some of them I totally agree with you. Product safety, patient safety. Yeah, of course, I mean, even I can't have one word to define 13485. But what I feel personally is that whatever the quality QMS is, so from class 1 to class 8, end of the day, we are addressing the patient. Okay. What's the final objective is that we need to look at patient safety. Of course, performance is important, but more than performance, I feel safety of the patient is important. So whatever you do, control of documents, records, improvements, management, all the clause, product realization, design and development, whatever stuff you, take off. If you look at the granular level, at the microscopic level, or at very low level of at the ground stage, bottom line, we are looking at the patient and patient safety, I said. Okay, and that is the reason I said like risk management is a very, very important thing that is connected. I do agree with all of you. Quality of product, of course, end of the day is when you have great product quality and everything. When you compile with, you have compliance with every every clause. End of the day, it will lead to a quality product. Okay. And a quality product obviously will give you a better patient safety. Fine.
So
And,
actually, just one point, sir. Actually,
yeah.
when I started my career, so that I used to struggle with this standards and the quality management system and all those things. So I used to have a question: what is the quality management system is? Because when a company is Q 9000 or 13485 certified, does that mean they are producing a top quality product, or does that mean they are producing highest quality product? So my manager has given me an answer on it that it's not any ISO certification. It's not a product certification. It's a system or a process certification.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a process. We discussed yesterday that it is a process interactions with lot of police procedures. See, it doesn't talk about your product, that is right, because when you get into the basic product, what you get from your R&D further after verification, validation, and clinicals, all the stuff, then only you put it into the market or you take it into a large scale production, then it will come into the market with feedbacks.
Correct.
Okay. But once you start the real commercialization of the product,
Right.
okay. See, the product already, it could be a Me Too product, already pre-existing product, which you have done or improved the features. All that happens before marketing. Okay, your validation, verification, maybe your customer, few selected doctors or customers feedback you take. Okay, and do your, some part of clinical registries, small registries, not full-fledged, like what we do in pharma and phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, something like. Actually, medical device doesn't have phase 1. Okay, we can't do phase 1 trials in clinic. We can't test devices in human volunteers. Okay, maximum we can switch to phase 2 or phase 3 in a small patient population or in a large patient population. But most importantly, more than phase 2, phase 3, where there will be a lot of clinical trials and investigations. For medical devices, phase 4, that is in pharma, they call pharmacovigilance. Okay. But for us, it's pre-marketing surveillance, post-marketing
Okay.
surveillance is very, very important. So, I mean, once we complete all the product development and all that work, okay, and evaluate the product even in the humans. Okay, later when we go for commercial production, there has to be a system, there has to be a procedure, okay, and this has to be very much standardized. Okay, and at the end of the day, and somebody has tapped, I do agree, like you should have a very continuous, continual quality product. It's not that one batch you get it and second batch there are some issues and third batch again you go back. Which means that if this is coming up and down and there are some waves, which means that your QMS is not good.
Okay.
Okay, and simply I define it. Of course, I do understand that some processes, some critical processes depend upon the personnel. Okay, but suppose I mean you are absent on that particular day. Okay, anybody coming in your place who is as good as you should do the same work or process as efficiently as you. How can you do it? So because you have a set of systems and set of procedures to do that work.
Correct.
In a company, if I am absent, suppose I was working in some company, if I am absent, if the CEO comes and does that also, he has to produce the same quality product because the systems are all documented and established.
In check.
Then only we say that this is a perfect system that produces quality products. Okay, 365 days. Of course, I mean, we do understand here and there could be some deviations that happens. Okay, there could be one or two non-conformities that could come out, but still there is a system that guides you. It's not like everybody has their own process or everybody has their own procedures for a particular application. Okay, and I told you like yesterday, when I heard my first 13485 training seminar, I asked the auditor, what's the fun of learning this? Okay, without 1345, without adopting 13485, can we, is it not possible to get a quality product? And he answered, I didn't agree with his answer. He said that it's just getting a certificate from a big university. When you get a certificate, it means that you are qualified. But I disagree. I totally disagree with his answer. But end of it, to me, quality management system is a set process, a set system of compliance. Okay, where you continuously produce a quality product as per your set specification and as intended for the specific use. Okay, I mean, yesterday also I told you that 100% compliance, no company can have 100% compliance. There will be somewhere the brown or dry areas. Okay, what we in US they call it as black box. Okay, but that's not possible. But 80-90% we can maintain as long as it don't affect the. Yesterday I also said, as long as your procedures or process doesn't affect the safety of the product, okay, it's still fine. And I told you that there will be some like which have direct impact, which may have indirect impact. Okay, that we can discuss. Right?
Okay, sir.
So I'll be starting, I think. I think we need to move fast. Yeah, for the benefit of maybe Madhusri, I'll discuss later because she was not there, and with Soman. Those who are not there, what we discussed is just an overall glance of, okay, the ISO 13485, trying to understand each clause and subclause, which is important, which is not so important. Okay, I'll share the document with you. Yeah. So we'll go in depth. As I said, yesterday we talked on ISO. Today we will be walking with the ISO. And guys, I already shared candidates handout notes. Have you gone through that?
Yet to,
Have you
sir.
gone through that?
Yet
No,
to,
it's
sir.
very lengthy. I know, like it's some 32 or 33 pages. Actually, if you look at total ISO 13485, I mean, it runs in hundreds of 100 pages or 131 pages, something like that. But still, I made it so concise into 33. But you need to go through that. Okay. You need to understand what, of course, some of them I'll explain. Some of them, very importantly, I explained during the internal audit training session. But let's have, let's walk through it and stop where it is very important. So those who are absent, yesterday we discussed on this, okay, on only this, what this clause are, what clause 1 is scope, normative references, third is terms and definitions, which are not very important, but scope is important, but doesn't have direct impact on the product. The fourth is the real thing on the quality management, general requirements, process approach, risk-based thinking. 4.2 documentation requirements. This is one very critical asset. You'll have more NCs, non-compliances in this. Mainly 4.2.4 control of documents and control of records. How you are controlling your documents, all that stuff. Now, as of late, people are adopting more EQMS. Okay, the fourth is the quality management system. In that you'll have all the documentation processes and other stuff. Okay, fifth is the management responsibility, very important. Management commitment, quality objectives, management reviews, all this stuff. Sixth is the resource management, mainly on the personal working there, the infrastructure, work environment. You need to define everything. And production realization is, of course, a very lengthy one, but it really matters because it earns you bread and butter. Okay, how you plan it, what are the customer related process. Some companies have this design and development. Some companies exclude this, but it's a very interesting thing we discussed on. I'll be taking a separate class on this. Okay, purchasing again is important, mainly the purchasing audits or supplier audits, supplier verification. When you get the material, raw material from outside, how you have controls on that. Either you're getting the raw material of the quality required for you. Okay, and production, again, it talks of lot of things. How you plan the production, the cleanliness of your area, installation. Suppose there are some companies which have medical software, medical devices or medical equipment, wherein installation and servicing activities come in. Okay, there will be some, to me, validation is a very critical area in production. Validation of your equipment or your processes. Or, I said like it's IQ, OQ, PQ, which again, we have a separate session on IQ, OQ, PQ, validations. Okay, SPCs, statistical process controls, all that. And this is very important, traceability. Identification is something which is within the manufacturing premises. Okay, how you identify your raw material products and all that, the non-conformities, XYZ, or other things. But traceability is something which it goes out of the market. When it goes out of the market, okay. I mean, sorry, when it goes out of your organization or manufacturing facility, you need to trace in which area it is, which hospital it is, basically in which country it is, or which continent it is. You should have that traceability. Of course, that traceability should have an, we discussed it lengthy yesterday. So trace back to your production batches, QC batches, QA batches, and till your raw material procurement. So it has to have a traceability from mainly for some devices like implants. You should trace it from hospital, from the patient till your raw material. You should have such an strong UDI, we call unique device identifier or UDI PI product. I'll tell you all that, how to have these identification numbers. Okay. For devices till we can track it or trace it till it goes to the hospitals, and retrospectively we can do the reverse tracing also. Okay, and the eighth, very, very important, that gives real understanding of how the company is performing or how your product is performing, how the processes are performing is measurement, analysis, and improvement. Okay, the customer feedbacks, complaint, how we are getting the complaints, what is the severity of the complaints, how you are reporting to the regulatory bodies in India or US or somewhere. Because when there is a complaint, you need to report based on the severity. Are you closing the complaint? Okay, internal audit really speaks about the health of your company. Okay, that's why I said you should do internal audits. Mainly, Akanksha, I discussed with you. Internal audits really talk
Yes, sir.
something. Yeah, you should do a very strong internal audit, not that you have some friendship with other departments. Friendships, interests should not come in the way of internal audits. Because you are close to somebody and that guy is close to you, don't give zero NCs. Okay, do it as per the procedure. Monitoring measurement of process and product. And of course, the key is analysis of data, where basically of my interest, but I'll tell you where what need to do. And there is kappa here. Okay, what is corrective action? Is the immediate action which we take. Corrective action is the immediate action which we take so that the adverse event or the complaint won't reoccur in the second patient. Okay, once you have a report from the one hospital or one patient having that, you should stop the reoccurrence of that event to the second patient or third patient. It's better stop with the first patient, because as it progresses, somebody told of cough syrup that happened. Okay, I think it came from Tamil Nadu or something. So it spread to so many states. I mean, infants, children, so many have had so many complications, morbidity, all that, because they didn't recall, they didn't take a corrective action. Immediately, if they were recalled it out, stopped with one patient. Okay, preventive action is the permanent solution for the events or the risks. You need to stop it. Okay, there should not be any potential reoccurrence of. Again, I told these are, to me, I'm hearing this from last 10 years. Okay. Guys, you tell me much about that. When we are talking of advances, advanced QARA, what we should do more than copper?
Proactive.
Yeah, proactive, how you do that? I told you this.
Predictive analysis.
Yeah, very good, Arulmurthy. It's more predictive analysis. Based on your trend analysis, it's a trend analysis and decision making. Once you understand where your non-conformities are coming within the facility when you are manufacturing, there are some non-conformities in the rejected products or rejections that are happening, the root cause of the rejections. And based on the data we are getting from the complaints, okay, whether it's minor complaints or major complaints, or some countries call adverse events, serious adverse events, very serious adverse events. Based on that, okay, you will see a pattern of, okay, events that are adverse events or complaints that are happening. Okay, I said the occurrence, we discussed on two things. One is the occurrence of the event or the adverse event. It is a repetitive occurrence, and the severity. Okay, if there is high occurrence that is happening, there is something wrong. You need to do a very drastic preventive action, or based on predictive analysis, you can recall the product. And second is on the severity. It could not be hundreds or thousands of samples. If even one sample can kill the patient, killing is not a right word here, causes morbidity or mortality of the patient. Okay, 1, 2, some, then you need to recall. That we'll discuss in severity. But as Arulmati said, based on these events, trends that are happening, complaints that are pouring in, based on your
Sir, it's
internal
someone else said,
non-conformance.
sorry.
Pardon?
Someone else said, I don't know who's that.
I don't know, maybe Akanksha. Somebody has said, I'm happy, whoever it is. What I'm saying, yeah, based on predicate analysis on whatever we get outside complaints and all that stuff, and our inside data, we should derive at a pattern of what's going to happen. Okay, in next 1 month or this batch or next 10 batches, what could be the potential issues that can come out, and keep monitoring and advise the end user or advise the marketing guys. These are some of the events that may, it's more like predicting what happens. You don't need AML or something to predict this. If you have all your data of say 3-4 batches data, or 1 year or 2 years of your complaint data, I can tell you what is going to happen next in your complaint, and what actions can be taken as, which can be taken as proactive actions not to have them. Okay, and coming to the scope, I said scope is very, very important. Actually, we don't have time, but I would have, if somebody can, one or two can tell you what is the scope of your company. You can type it in short, but we are running short of time every day. If it happens, I'll extend it for 3 hours. So you tell me, what is your scope? Do you do designing? Design and development? You do manufacturing? See, if you are in a isolated or in your own room, in your house or isolated place, in your PGs or hostels or somewhere, you can unmute. Okay, if you are outside, don't do it. But if you speak out, then I can explain you better. Sometimes the problem with the Zoom, all this stuff is like, after half an hour, I feel like I'm speaking to myself.
Sir, we can take the scope like manufacturing, distribution, and sale of the sterile surgical drapes, gown, and disposable products.
Yeah, when you say, that's very important thing. When you talk of scope, no, I know, you need to understand it's not that scope will run into one page. It has to be in 2-3 lines. But how you structure the scope, like say, you take from, the starting point on design and development, of course, that's the important thing. Many companies don't do, but with the pre-existing designs, they do it. Okay, but still you need to have the design file. Okay, then comes the manufacturing. Manufacturing involves a lot of activities. I have seen, as we have seen in clause 7. Okay, whether it's purchasing of the raw material or your production or your QA, QC, sterilization, validations, all this come in the manufacturing, including your packing, sterilization. Okay, if you are doing any one of the activities also, still you are called as a manufacturer. Please understand that.
Correct, sir.
Okay, don't say that I'm not doing all this stuff, I'm just only assembling this. No, you are even assembling a medical device, still you come as a manufacturer. Okay, even if you are doing just a service, like say I'm distributing a product and collecting the PMS report, still it comes as a still ISO 13485 applies. Okay. Like say I'm doing the regulatory submissions and I'm also collecting the PMS, and some of the regulatory activity I'm doing for the company, it comes under the purview of ISO 13485. Okay, and hence the scope. See, some companies have something like 20-30 products manufactured. You can say design and development, manufacturing, okay, and distribution of, you can't name all 20 products. So you can sum it up and say sterile cardiovascular devices or neurological devices.
Surgical instruments.
Yeah, you can group it and use that. Look into 900, ISO 900. They'll you what a group or family is. Instead of writing all 10 or 12 devices. Okay, say neurological or hemostatic devices or something like for intuitive, it's like surgical robotic instruments, or for some Akanksha, it's like spectral imaging devices and
IBD.
yeah, something like that you need to write. And the advantage that is like when you, I better suggest you have a very broad scope. Okay, but don't include in the scope which you are planning in future. Okay, in future I'm going to introduce this product or I'm going to have sterilization in my facility. Let me keep it. Okay, that will become a big blunder. So limit your scope to the point where you're doing, where you have documentation till the auditor comes. Don't tell to the auditor that in next 4-5 months we are going to have this activity. That's why I have written in the scope. Okay, there is a flexibility for you to change the scope after audit also. Okay, after audit you can enhance your scope based on your documentation, but keep the scope very intact. Okay, live, so that it covers, but let it be very broad. When you say neurological or say cardiovascular devices, cardiovascular have so many devices like the catheter stents or congenital disease like the valves and other things. Okay, at any time I can include any device. Okay, in future. Something like say we have digital imaging systems for scanning or counting or for some intended use. You keep it broad so that later you can include some of the equipment that comes into the group or the family. And most importantly, the clause, the scope also gives you an opportunity to provide you what are the clause that can be excluded. Okay, we call them as exclusions, and some of them where you can say it is not applicable. And I'm going to tell you this is a very, very important point when you're writing the scope and saying that what is excluded, what is not applicable. Okay, in the clause you need to mention, you have say 8 clause. Of course, first three are important for everyone. Of course, fourth is also important. And fifth is also important. But basically in 6, 7, 8, you need to mention which clause you are total or which subclause is not applicable or you are excluding. When you do that, so when you are excluding it or when you say it is not applicable, you should know what is the difference between exclusion and non-applicable or not applicable. When you call excluded, say in your scope you said that it is this clause is excluded or subclause is excluded, or when you say that this subclause is not applicable, what is the difference? Because this is a very, very important repeated question in many audits. If you do it right also, if you document it right also, still the auditor will recheck and test your knowledge to understand that these guys have done it very randomly on exclusion and not applicable, or he has some knowledge on what is excluded and what is not applicable. Okay, you understood my point?
Sir.
You understood what? There are two things where you need to mention clearly in your scope. What are, I mean, if you look at the quality manual which I have shared, okay, there will be some tables where we mention these are excluded, these are not applicable. So I am asking you, when you will say certain clauses are excluded and when you will say these are not applicable, because both are different. You can't combine and say that this clause is excluded or this is not applicable as you like. And I told no, this will be becomes very important point in audits and may raise a minor NC or observation. So what you call excluded or what is exclusion? Can somebody tell? Because I have written a lot of text on it. See, I mean, not to complicate these things, I'll tell you. Yeah, you take this. I mean, I've written a lot of things for your better explanation. You can read it. See, exclusion refers to leaving out a requirement. Okay, leaving out a requirement of ISO 13485 because the organization does not perform that activity at all. Okay, and the standard explicitly allows that requirement to be excluded. Okay, basically this exclusion is something which your company, okay, or the organization does not perform. It's like the total activity which you don't perform. Suppose I say like the best case scenario everybody speaks is on design and development. Okay, this clause can be excluded. But can you say it is not applicable? Guys, are you there or sleeping?
No, sir.
See, I say that we don't do any design and development in my organization. I keep it as excluded. Okay. When you call not applicable, okay, you remember this. The organization does not perform the activity at all. Okay. Not applicable refers to the requirement that technically exists in the QMS scope. Okay, your scope, in your scope, you see it technically exists, but does not apply to your product or process. Okay. Suppose I say I'm manufacturing devices. Okay. You say sterile devices or non-sterile devices. Basically, you are manufacturing some devices. Okay. They could be sterile or non-sterile or unsterile. So in this scenario, what we say is I am doing a manufacturing because I can't exclude total clause 7 from product realization. I am still manufacturing a medical device. Okay. But in that one subclause where sterilization is applicable, I won't do exclusion of it, but I say this is not applicable because I am not sterilizing my device. Okay, it is an unsterile device like what Akanksha does. I mean, Akanksha's company does. They want sterile, so sterility, whatever clause that is talking of sterility issues is not applicable. But in overall QMS system, you are manufacturing a device, okay, under the particular clause of clause 7. Technically, it has to be sterilized or it can be unsterilized. But still it exists with your QMS under your scope. But the thing is that it is not applicable to you. Okay, suppose if you are sterilizing, it's fine. If you are not sterilizing it. See, in design and development, why we excluded that? Because overall activity doesn't come under my scope. Total design and development is not there in my scope, I exclude it. It's like excluding a very big thing or big clause away from it. Total activity away from it. But when you come to applicability or non-applicability, you are referring to some sections or some subclause or even some points in the subclauses which are not relevant, but in overall scope, okay, they do have in that. Suppose I say product realization is there because product realization talks of design development and a lot of manufacturing processes. And sterility is one of the point in product realization. Okay, that time I can't remove total clause 7 or clause 7.4 and say that I removed product and production and provisions and all that stuff. I say it is not applicable to me. Can you name some more examples where it is not applicable? No, for example, I talk of a lot of medical devices where you don't have installation activity, okay, and servicing activities, because these activities will be there only for medical equipment. Okay, that time can you mention them as excluded or not applicable? Can somebody
Not
talk?
applicable.
We mention them as not applicable because they come under the purview of QMS. Okay. One second. Yeah. Yeah, they come under the purview of your manufacturing. Okay, if you look at total scope, it comes under your manufacturing. Okay, but you are not performing those, you are not manufacturing those devices. So it depends upon your device, what type of device you are manufacturing. For your device, yes, you are manufacturing the device, but for your device, installation and service activities are not applicable. Are you getting my point? Like sterilization is not applicable or not applicable. You can't
Yes.
say that I will exclude services and installation and service section. Okay. You should be very confident when you are writing it, and most importantly, you should provide justification why you have excluded that. Suppose, say, for example, design and development is excluded. Manufacturers of load these devices or develop medical devices, but rather produce devices designed by other entities may exclude this. Okay. The justification, see, this is very important. It's not like you just exclude and keep quiet. You need to mention why I have excluded this. If a company only manufactures medical devices based on pre-existing designs, okay, you have some designs already, or you have pre-existing or me too devices or me too products where there is already a design available in the market. You only do manufacturing. It's not that you need to design that product. You don't have design and development there. From other, the process related design and development are not applicable to them. Okay, but it is applicable to the other companies who design it. They must, however, ensure that they follow the design transfer and verification process, which we'll discuss. Though you may remove your design and development, okay, clause from your scope, or mention that it's excluded, the justification you need to provide that still you have controls on your design. Okay, whatever material you are getting as a raw material, you have some controls, design controls. Okay, I'll talk of design controls more when I come to develop design and development. Okay. And you need to give justification for this, and auditors will examine whether the exclusion impacts the effectiveness. If you exclude that, it will impact the effectiveness of the QMS. Okay, and to meet the regulatory compliances. Okay, this is the second point. The auditor looks, but the first point he looks is what clause you have excluded and what clause you say are not applicable and how they are correlating to your scope and provide justification. That's all. Okay, in your scope, maybe tomorrow when you go to on Monday when you go to office, look at your scope. I mean, look at your quality manual and see what are these clauses that are excluded, what are the clauses that are not applicable, and look at what is the justification they have provided for both of these. Or if your QA head is there, you ask him what is the justification for this.
Sir,
Have
I
you
have a
understood?
question.
Yeah.
So for example, we are trying to mimic a product which is already available in the
Can you
market.
speak louder?
So for example, we are trying to mimic a product which is already available in the market, like big giants like B Brown or Ethicon, we can say. So is it we can say over here that design and development does not apply to us?
Yeah, obviously, because you are not designing, you are not using design and development, but you are, see, somebody does, a OEM gives you the product, or you are getting the product, I mean, actual design of the product done by some OEM or some company who has a design and development operations. You are only carrying that design to your organization, but internally you are not developing it.
Okay.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. When you are not internally developing your design and you are getting it from somewhere, the design who has done it, we generally call it as, I mean, in a broader sense, we call it as technology transfers. Okay, and internally we call it as design transfers. But when you do the design transfer from an other company to your company or other OEM to your company, this is what I said. You should have controls. Okay, design transfer control. They must, however, ensure, okay, that they follow the design transfer verification process defined by the customer. You need to cross check, okay, whether you are getting the right design as requested or the customer is providing his own design which you wanted. So this is what we call is as, I mean, design transfer. You have, for example, if you come to the design and development, you give your specifications to the, okay, the customer to prepare a particular design. We call them as inputs. Okay, I want such and such device with specification. Okay, you give it to the other company to do that. Okay, and they prepare it and they come out with their specifications, what we call outputs. Okay, you have given your inputs, design inputs. Okay, they design the, I mean, the other company, the third party will do it and come out with this is how we have designed, these are the design inputs. Then you check your design inputs and outputs.
So we need to have those inputs, output, and everything with us.
Yes, Maji, it's very, very critical that you should have inputs and outputs. Perhaps you should do more validations, and this is what is said. When you do the design transfer, you need to do the verification process. What is verification? What is verification? Verification is like you compare your design inputs and outputs. Are they matching? Okay, it's very simple. Design input, you give some inputs and they come out with some outputs. Even internally also, if you have a R&D company, you compare the inputs and outputs and see whether they are same. In 99% cases, they won't be the same. Okay, again they have to go back and redesign. Okay, go to the drawing board, again they do something and there'll be a lot of changes that need to do. I'm telling you now, you give your inputs, okay, the outputs mostly, I mean, many of the times won't match. I mean, there'll be a lot of deviations that happen. But at the end of the day, your output inputs and outputs are very close. Then you do a verification, then you do a validation. See, validation also includes clinicals. Okay. Clinicals is also a part of validation. So in what you do, whether what is validation, whether the intended purpose is solved. Yeah, when your input and output are very close, you look at the validation and see that what are the risks involved. Okay, if there is no risk, that's fine. I mean, minimal risk, but you are achieving the intended use. Okay, you need to define the intended use in your inputs. Okay, my intended use is so and so. Okay, like I need to stain these cells and do the imaging and need to know what is the count of the total cells, or I need to store them stem cells, or I need to open up a clogged coronary blood vessel up to 4 ml. You have to have a very defined, that is the first objective, that should be the first input. Okay, what is the intended use of this? Then later, a lot of things comes till the regulatory compliance, when what are the regulatory issues, how to manufacture, what are the raw materials. Okay. So when you do that process, you should have a design control document or design transfer document. Okay, for every batch, if you are procuring those materials every time, but if you are getting it one time and doing the later, if you are only manufacturing or designing that, then you need to build a design history file. Okay, I'm telling you, design controls, okay, are very, very important, like the supplier controls also.
So in any case, a company can skip this design history files.
Pardon?
In any case, a company can skip this design history files, or they had to have it.
Yeah, they need to have it.
Understood. Okay.
Okay, of course, if you may get from the third party also, it's fine. It's not that you need to rewrite or document it. Instead of getting the design history file, you can just have the design transfer file. Okay, I said no, what are your inputs that what you have provided to the R&D guy or the R&D department outside, and what are the inputs you got and what are the verifications you have done.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay.
So have you understood what is exclusion and not applicable? Check on Monday and come back to me with explanation what is applicable, not applicable. And I said normative references, scope is something like, if you like movies, I can correlate with that. Scope is something like a preview of the movie. Okay, it tells you what is the title, who are the directors, who are the actors, heroine. Okay, it just gives you an overall view. Okay, and that is what I said. You need to preview something like compiling 2.5 or 3 hours movie into 5 minutes. Okay, and normative references are something like, again I can relate it to a movie which comes and goes in between. Okay, these are basically vocabulary that is used or the definitions that are used or where we take a lot of references. Okay, and the only document is ISO 1900, which I shared to you in WhatsApp. It gives all the fundamentals, vocabulary is the only normative reference. Okay, you can sometimes people add 13485. Okay, that's fine if you can add 13485. But my main point is, what is the difference between normative and informative references? We call this as a normative reference. There will be documents like, say, guidance documents or 14971, or you will have 10993 biocompatibility studies, or some guidance like, say, people are talking of softwares like IEC 62304. Okay, IEC is 66106 on cyber security. So they will become informative references, but not the normative references. Normative references are something where 13485 has derived. Okay, after 13485 has derived, later all these standards have come in. So that give information to your references. Okay, if you look at the quality manual I have shared, you will understand. Okay, again, terms and definitions, just you need to pick up what is there, applicable to your devices. Again, you look at the terms and definitions which I have given in scope 3 of the quality manual, which I have shared, the third clause. Mostly they will be the same. Okay, every company keeps all that same. But again, you need to add another 5 or 10 more based on your device. Okay, based on your product or your device. There will be some more like, if you have a software like installation, what is installation? You need to add the definitions and all this stuff. Okay, but most important thing is why we have a standard 9000, and whenever you use that word, okay, suppose you have used that word vocabulary in one SOP, or suppose in your quality manual, it is very, very important, guys, to understand that we need to use the same vocabulary or same word anywhere in your documents, where it SOPs or QSPs or in your forms and records. See, sometimes what happens is in flow of writing, we write medical devices. Okay. And after some time, after writing 2-3 pages, we switch from medical devices to devices. Okay, after some time from devices, we switch to products. Okay, it should not happen. I'm just quoting a very simple example. Sometimes we say medical devices. Sometimes after 2-3 pages, we do devices. And after some time in another document, I just use these products. That will become very complicated during the auditing. So your vocabulary has to be consistent, constant when you're documenting it as it is there, okay, in 900 2015. Use the same words, okay. If it is a medical device, use this word in all the documents wherever you use it. Don't try to change the meaning of it, or don't try to make it shortcut, or don't give abbreviations to it. Instead of writing medical device, don't write MD. Okay, if it is active medical device, don't write AMD or something like. Don't give abbreviations. Okay, wherever there are abbreviations in the 9001, 900, you can give it. But it's always better to avoid abbreviations and give same terminology or vocabulary in that. Okay. And yesterday I was talking about the definition of medical device. Okay, as per ISO 13485. Okay. It says that any medical device is an instrument, apparatus, okay, appliance, machine, appliance, implant, reagent for in vitro use, software, material, or other similar related articles intended, okay, intended by the manufacturer for any of the specific medical purposes like diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, treatment, or elevation of the disease, which does not, this is a very important thing, which does not achieve its primary intended use by pharmacological, immunological, and metabolic means. Okay, if your device is functioning, because of the pharmacological activity of the device, because there are a lot of devices. Okay, I mean, we sometime back I faced the same problem whether it should come in devices or EMA. EMA is or like a medical agency. See, in devices is a separate section when you submit your documents for certification. Medical device is separate and medical agency is separate. Okay. If your devices have drugs over them, any drug or any chemicals, okay, even small, I mean, polymers that can change the function of it. Basically, the people use a lot of drugs. I mean, of late, drug device combination is, I mean, it's more fashionable and looks great, mainly increasing the device prices. Some devices without any reason also will be coated with drugs and other things to increase the price and say that it has a better performance. So what I'm telling is like your device should not function. Mainly the primary function of your device should not be through pharmacological. Okay, it should not interfere with any cells of the body in performance. Immunological, the performance should not be anything immunological like how you see in vaccines. I mean, that comes under vaccines and drugs like CDHRA. In our medical devices also we have pharmaceuticals as separate. Or metabolic means that the device metabolizes, and the end product or the byproduct of the device will have the performance. Okay, these are not allowed exclusively in medical devices when they are functioning. Pharmacology is not allowed, immunology is not allowed, and the metabolic products of that particular devices having performance is not allowed. If they have these three, okay, I mean, performing the intended use or uh, having the efficacy through this, they are not called medical devices. Okay, it could be any machine implant XYZ. I'll tell you later. There are a lot of things that have been added apart from software. Actually, software was added in 2016. Earlier, software was not there in 2003 ISO. Software was added in 2016. Okay. I mean, I'm talking about ISO definition. As for 13485 definition, it's very short. Okay. But the main point in ISO definition is that it exclusively says that the primary treatment or the performance or efficacy of the device should not be linked to the pharmacological action, immunological or metabolic means of the device. If it comes under this, still you can call that medical devices, but we'll go into another segment, okay, into the medical agency for examining that. That will be a very tedious procedure, very costly, and the chances of getting certification will be very less. So people try, most of the people try, most of the manufacturers try to have stick to the definition of medical devices in this without using pharmacological, immunological, or metabolic means. See, you would have heard, like said, some of the devices coated with drugs, like say you have drug-eluting stents, okay, drug-eluting catheters or drug-coated valves. If there is a drug on this, that becomes very complicated, guys. I'm telling you.
Disinfectant solutions.
Yeah, even disinfectant solutions also. Okay, but disinfectant solutions does not alter the, I mean, the pharmacological activity, immunological and metabolic means of the devices won't affect it. See, you say, I'm asking you, if you add a disinfectant, what's the intended use of the disinfectant?
Sir, as because one of the company, they are using the disinfectant solution in two form. One is it in powdered form and another one is in a solution form, which is used for disinfecting the dialysis machine after the dialysis is completed.
Okay.
Yes.
So your disinfectant doesn't come under the medical agency. It comes
Correct.
under as a medical device because, see, I mean, I'll tell you, when you talk of your dialysis machine, okay, sometimes what you do is you don't add disinfectant as a separate thing. You add disinfectant as a part of the dialysis machine, okay, for cleaning purpose.
Correct, sir.
Yeah. If you take it separately, no, disinfect, then you need to get, I mean, either self-certification or class A or class 1 certification for dialysis. So there will be some logic sense how to, I mean, yesterday also I said how to make them as one single. Suppose you have some liquids that are used for cleaning the apparatus, some like disinfectants or any liquids. So you say that these are as a part of the device we are supplying it.
Correct.
Okay, not exclusively you are selling the disinfectants. Okay, then that time it will go hand in hand.
Okay. But sir, actually, because I was having a word with them, so they were specifically making the disinfectant solution in itself. They were
Yeah,
not
if you
into.
want a certification for disinfectant solution, I don't think there will be a big issue. Where decentralized solution, I think you can get it in. Yeah, disinfectant, you can
Sir,
get it in. Yeah.
sir,
Yes.
how about these cryopreservation agents like DMS or Dextron? Is that will be coming under devices or?
Yeah, that will come under devices only because I mean they see remember these three words. They won't alter the pharmacological or immunological or metabolic activities. I mean they won't perform by perform their performance or their intended use. Okay, won't be through pharmacological, immunological or metabolic means. So what a freezing does, I mean DMSO does, okay,
It's just
it, yeah, it decreases the freezing point and it will
yeah,
crystallize. Okay, once you
yes.
take it, so it is not affecting the pharmacology of it. I mean, I'm telling you, its intended use is not through pharmacology.
Mm,
So once you take the cells out and defreeze them, okay, they will have, I mean, after thawing them, they will have their natural activity, I mean, natural morphology and cell activity.
yes.
Okay. I mean, if you have, I mean, based on your companies or where you can pick up 100 products and we can have, we can classify like whether it's a device or whether it's a device with a drug which comes under medical agency, whether it exists, whether the action or the intended use or the efficiency or the performance is through pharmacological, immunological, metabolic. So we had the same problem some time back when one material which is having pH of 4.3, okay, is having an antibacterial activity. Actually, it's the intrinsic property of the material to have that pH. When there is low pH, something like below 2 or below 4 or up to 2, or naturally it will be acidic and it will have some antibacterial property. Okay. Still the regulators didn't allow, we gave almost like 1 month discussion, had 1 month discussion, detailed explanation. Still they didn't say that you remove this antibacterial activity from your device intended use. Just keep it as okay, hemostat or something absorbing blood.
Sir, another
So there will,
example is the reverse osmosis plant cell.
yeah.
So the reverse osmosis plant does it gives a certain pH water for the dialysis patient.
Yeah. Yeah, there will be some issues, but I mean that's what guys I'm telling you. You need to bring out your lot of gray matter when you're trying to justify, bring out your logic. Okay, and many a times the medical agency or the top people agree. And the point here is the reviewers. I mean, I'm not underestimating the reviewers. Many of the reviewers sitting on the top, the technical reviewers, okay, mainly in the regulatory, they may not have a very good understanding on your product, okay, compared to the regulatory person sitting in the company who has prepared the document. Okay, when they review, no, they review a lot of devices, a lot of products. They just look at the regulations and follow them blindly. Okay, actually, it is your device. You have total understanding on the device. Okay, and to my, I may be wrong, but at this point, I think I'm absolutely right. You will have more understanding of the product, okay, than the technical reviewer. Of course, the technical reviewer have more understanding on the regulations than you. But as far as the product is concerned, you have you should be the master on that. Okay. And the technical reviewer, he will be master on the regulations, but not on your product. And when you give some justifications, I have seen it a lot of times when you provide the justifications that this is what it is, when you get the answers, when you explain, they agree. Okay. I mean, don't think that technical reviewers or auditors are just like rock or stone, they don't agree with anything. They listen and sometimes they get convinced and they learn from us also. Because this is about normative representation, there's nothing to talk. Definitions, only thing is keep that vocabulary similar and constant everywhere. I said no the other day, like keep 9001, okay, as your pocketbook when you're doing documentation. Okay, just have that document 9000, ISO 9000 and pick it up and just copy paste. And here I am coming to the most important thing, like, okay, ISO has defined this, given a 5-sentence definition. And the crux here is like, ISO has to align with the regulatory compliance, whatever country it is. Okay, and that is the basic thing I told you. The difference between 9000, ISO 9001 and ISO 13485 is 9001 speaks of customer satisfaction. Okay, of course, it's a basic foundation. It talks of any company, I mean, not necessarily of medical devices. It gives guidance to any company. But when you look at 13485, it talks more on regulatory compliance, okay, not giving any priority on customer satisfaction. So, and this is important for those in regulatories, why you have to understand ISO 13485 is, again, I am repeating, this is been, both of them are integrated, okay, they lie hand in hand, okay, they align with each other. So when I look at the EU MDR definition of medical devices, okay, actually I kept, I'll show it because I mean I'll explain to you. Say EU MDR, yesterday also I told they extended the definition very broad on medical devices. As somebody has said, they included a lot of things like the disinfectants, okay, the oral contraceptives, they included all the wearables. Okay, I told wearables like the gadgets, okay, that are linked in monitoring. Okay, they included all the SOMED and SOINMED. Okay, SOMED is something like where your software is the basic device for the intended function. Okay, software as medical device. SOINMED is software used in medical device. It is a supporting system to medical device. Okay, the primary function or the intended use may not be directly related to. Okay, in software in medical device. Okay, but it aids, helps, like something like we are seeing in of late, we are seeing a lot of advancements that are connected to the software linked to AI and ML. Okay, or something like a simple microscopes or spectral micro, where you have a software linked to it, okay, where it does collects the data and does all the pattern and gives the output. That is also being included. Even your calibration software or your design and development software, all the software has been included in, okay, medical device definition. And yesterday I told you, I mean, most of the gadgets are also being included. And yesterday I told you, like, I was surprised to see, like, generally we see lens for correcting vision as medical device. Okay, if I'm wearing lens which are not for correcting vision, but just to make my pupil blue or brown or some fashionable color, but still they come under medical devices. Okay. But the purpose here is that I'm not wearing the lens to correct my vision. I'm wearing the lens, okay, just as a fashion. Most of the wearables also we do it as a fashion. Just they may monitor or they may not monitor your heart rate and all the stuff, blood pressure, sugar, all this. I mean, that's what we call online monitoring or 24/7 monitoring, all this stuff. Okay, we have some connectivity with the devices and we can remotely do monitoring. But that monitoring also has to be, okay, comes on as a part of medical device. Most of the wearables are now included. And I said like the lens which not intended for correction of vision. Why they come under the medical devices is because it is a safety concern of the lens. Okay, because the same manufacturer who is I mean producing the lens for correction of vision is also doing this. So it comes under the ambit or umbrella of the same. So even your fashionable items sometimes have been crept into a medical device definition. Okay, when I come to MDR, I'll tell you all the list of devices which sometimes we think that they are not devices as per the definition have come in and they have extended. Actually, I think I have copied or
So,
pasted somewhere.
hello.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Sir, one question related to the lens. So there is a device for people who don't have eyeballs. Okay, so one person makes a what you can say a pupil or an artificial eye which they put it in their eye. Okay, and they can remove it, autoclave it, and kept at night and again and morning they can use it back again. So
Yeah.
what it will be, sir? It will be a device, a fashionable item, or because these products are, sir, if you see in India, people make it at home or customizable. Some have some other design, some have some other design. So what it is, sir?
Yeah, they are devices only. I mean, whether you customize them for the patient or whether you think that they are fashionable. See, some devices are fashionable, like, okay, but still they come under the ambiguity of medical devices only.
Because it's a small product first thing, and if we see by the definition, it will go fall under high risk products. As per MDR Indian Cedar School, which it will be under C and D class, correct?
Yeah.
Then they need to follow the clean room and everything. And I don't think by in they people are
No,
who are manufacturing.
if you want them to market in Europe, you need to do that because the UMDR regulations, as per medical device definitions, if they say this comes in as a medical device, we need to do it. And that's what I was speaking. Aman, like we need to look at country specific regulations. Some call it device, some may not call it. Okay. It varies with it, but for Europe, we need to look at because I mean, mostly we do documentation for Europe, US, and of late we are doing a lot of documentation for Brazil and Latin countries, Latin American countries, and APAC, okay, Asia Pacific.
But sir, if
And
we
of course,
see similarly, when it comes to dentures, dental
yeah,
product. Okay, it
yes,
is again another. It depends on patient to patient. Everybody has different teeth, different type of designs and everything. So it is another most highly customizable product, but
yes, I know it.
that is regulated. But
Yes, very much. Actually, I worked in one of the company. I mean, I was a consultant to one of the company in Jammu. I mean, most of you are know that. Which manufacture this customized. They do 3D printing
3D
base. I mean,
printers,
3D
correct,
printing is
correct,
more customized.
correct.
So still they need to follow it. Yeah. it comes under a medical device, they need to follow the regulation.
Okay. So, if anybody who is making a highly customizable or patient-centric device, then they will fall under medical device and they need to follow all the regulatory things. Correct, sir.
Exactly, you came to the point. See, when you have customizable device,
Hmm.
okay, sometimes if the customizable device has more severity,
Mhm.
then you need to go for provide a lot of clinical evidence.
Correct.
Or sometimes you need to go for clinical investigation or clinical trial also.
Yeah.
Okay, if your product is customized and if it carries a lot of risk, and you need to do a total validation through clinicals. Okay, if there is a simple device, which say, I think dental products may not carry so much of risk or life-threatening risk or a lot of morbidity. Okay, easily you can customize for them. But when you come to the lens, no, lens is very critical. With a very simple, hazard or with what we call with a harm or with a simple hazard, it can convert into a potential risk of, losing sight.
No, sir, I was talking about the person who don't even have an eye. And that one, what we say, sir, they make that kind of a eyeball or artificial eyeball, which they put it in their eye.
Yeah.
So those products, people are making in homes or mostly like a jewelry type of product they are using it. So I don't know how these products will they fall under a medical device or not.
Yeah, I look into it, but I'm sure that they should come into medical device because uh,
So I have
anything.
a point to add over here. So
Yeah.
answering to Aman question actually, so my brother who is in Germany
Okay.
works for a company who does this customized ocular prosthesis. Okay,
Oh, yeah, correct, correct, correct.
yeah, it's called ocular prosthesis, and
Yes,
they
yes.
fall under the class 1 medical device actually. So they does not come in contact with any breached or compromised surface or any blood vessels directly.
Correct,
The
correct,
eye
correct.
socket, when you remove the eye socket, the entire skin has been already healed. So no blood
Hmm.
vessels or sensory nerves are
Right,
over there. So it
right.
directly comes in it's like for just as to look good. So that's why
Correct,
they
correct.
classify Europe and FDA both classify this under the class 1 medical device.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not sure about India, but
Okay,
in Europe and US FDA they fall under class 1.
okay.
Yeah, that's a good point which you told. Say one point is like whether it comes under a device or not. And the second thing is when it comes under a device, how you classify it. Okay, classification again, MDR has a different way. IMDR, CDSCO has a different way. Of course, all have the basis of all classification is risk classification or risk-based classification. Okay, again, you need to look into the classification guidelines of the structure. I find like say, I've done it for many countries. See, some devices which come under class 3, okay, which come under class 3, something like mainly the implantables. For them, in some countries, they come under class 2B, which is of low risk. So, class 3 is highest risk. And I can quote a lot of examples on where the classification will be so disturbed between countries and between the countries. Okay, that's why when you are doing a documentation, okay, you need to provide country-specific classification of the device. See, in India, we have an alphabetical system of classification. and the risk is also, I mean, it's very much different. I mean, you go to different country like Saudi, SFDA, they have MHOAP. Okay, Korea, they have different TGA guidelines, or Australia and similar. See, Aman and Majid, just to know the classification and to provide the just classification, okay, people spend a lot of money to get the right classification. Of course, I too charge to get the right classification for them, because if the classification goes wrong, the total technical file, once they prepare, is of no use. It will be in vain. So the first thing is you need to get, you need to know whether it's a medical device or not. That's not a big problem. But the second important point is trying to understand the classification. But most of the manufacturers try to bring, because of the vastness, I don't know, they try to bring it to a low classification level so that the documentation will be less and the approval levels will be fast. Okay, they try to bring it to class 2A or class 1, but that really don't work. Hence, I mean, the only thing is that you need to go with country specific regulations. Anyway, I'm going to share that in MDSAP when I discuss about all 5-6 countries, what the regulations say, and I also give a classification example of how it goes. Okay. This we discuss quality management system. I think I'll take another 10 minutes. Okay, because most of them we discuss implement, it's a process based or process interaction based. Those who attended yesterday know this. I can also share the document with you, how they are interlinked. Okay, it may run like a cycle, but inside that also there will be a lot of interlinks between purchase and R&D. Okay, R&D and PMS, R&D and validation, or production and purchase. So there will be a lot of interlinks that happens. Okay, but it is a process based and it has a regulatory compliance, which we have just seen. The definition changes just with the medical device, so it has to comply with ISO 13485, has to comply with the country specific regulation. Okay, if you are following IMDR, is fine. Adhere to this regulation has to adhere to 13485, MDR 510K, still fine, because 510K also, I mean, like USFD also is also moving to integrating 13485. It becomes easier for us instead of having 21 CFR 820, okay, which is their QMS or quality system regulation. Now, in maybe in next 1 year, they will be also adopting 13485 US. Still, it becomes easier. So, but still, you need to look at the regulatory compliances and what we call product conformity, which I'll explain you what is conformity, because this is a crucial word that is used in regulatory purpose. Okay, product conformity or conformity assessment. Okay, what are the documents we need to produce? How to structure a product conformity for a particular regulation? Okay, and control outsource processes. Again, what we have discussed just now, like Aman or somebody says, suppose I am getting the outsourced R&D device, or my supplier outsourced, my sterilization is outsourced. Okay, guys, please remember that if your sterilization is outsourced, or your R&D design is outsourced, your purchaser is outsourced, still it comes under your QMS only. But you are outsourcing the process through agreements and supplier audits, but you will be held responsible if anything goes wrong in any of those, but not the supplier. Okay, the supplier will be happy, keeps doing his business. But if anything happens with the material or with the material that the supplier provides to you, or the sterilization or even the design, anything which you outsource is part of your QMS. If anything happens with those which have outsourced, you will be held responsible. And that is the reason I told that you should have control on all the outsourced processes. Okay, do the design control or supply control, validation, edit, audit, and all that stuff, sterilization, validation. Okay, of course, the outsourced person do validation, but still you need to have a control on what he is doing. And most importantly, if it is a critical step in the device, okay, and most of you know, like the auditors will visit the outsourced unit of the company. Okay, many of those auditors companies, the sterilization units are not necessarily design development lab, but if it's a local supplier purchaser, if you can't produce enough documents on having not showing control on the purchasing or the supplier, obviously they will audit them. Okay, so you need to be very careful about what you are outsourcing. There will be some during design and development, like you outsource a lot of biocompatibility studies. You should be very sure like what they are doing. Okay, you should read the protocol and procedure, then only you need to sign. Okay, it has to be approved. And you need to see their certification whether they are accredited or not. Don't get your outsourced things from or get it done from anybody who gives it for low price or cheap price. Look at the accreditations, look at their validations, look at their credibility, look at to what other companies they are supplying. Of course, you need to do quality audits and all that stuff. Of course, you need to do a lot of verification of the material, raw material verification, or conduct some tests on that. So your outsource process sometimes may turn you to a very, very big headache. Okay. And of late I said no, software is now becoming a big issue because many of the companies don't have understanding on validation of a software. Okay, or the total life cycle of the software. Some of them we don't know the software regulations. Okay, like I said, IEC standards, like you have environmental standards or electrical safety, environmental safety, EMC safety, electromagnetic compatibility safety studies. Okay, total life cycle like 62304, cyber security. Okay, this all you need to learn, which I'm going to talk to you when I talk of integrating AML in PMS. I'll tell you of all these standards, IEC standards. Okay, because IEC has separate standards like 7-8 standard, but still they have to be integrated. Why I'm saying is they have to be integrated with 13485. Otherwise, they are not standalone documents. Okay, and software, I don't know like how many companies have a ERP and EQMS, but if you have ERP and EQMS, it becomes easier.
So,
yeah.
So let's suppose like if we are getting our product sterilized outsourced, okay. So we have sent the product for the sterilization. Now we got the product to our facility. We have done the quality check. Then we have kept it under store or dispatched the product. So here the sterility bioburden or residual test reports will be attached of the sterilizer, the principal company who's doing the sterilization, or our company who is doing the final QC and releasing the product. So who is going to do
See,
the sterility on this report?
Company which is doing sterilization won't give you sterility reports. They will give you only see the what you call that strip test reports or some for endotoxin vials. What do you call that vials? Yeah, that vials. Later, once we break it, if there is growth, yeah, to that point they will give. Later, you need to get it tested from outside labs, or if you have in-house microbiology lab, you need to get it tested. Okay, and that is the reason I said, like, most of the, even if you get it tested from outside microbiology labs, still you need to audit that lab and look at their validations or how they are testing, how they have approved it. And sometimes I tell you, you need to give false controls. Okay, something you say that this is also a sterilized and give a contaminated one. Okay, I will not name the lab, but it's one of the good labs. When I have given an unsterile one with lot of bioburden, okay, and I kept it in the same batch of the sterilized ones. Okay, they said that this is also given a report that this is sterile, and I was shocked because sometimes I don't know about the credibility of those companies, how they produce. By default, they say that once you say that these are sterilized, by default they write all are sterile, no endotoxins up to 10 IU, and the bioburden is less, all this they do. But that's why Aman, sometimes we need to be very logical. I said no, here there is no need of qualification or experience. You need to be very logical in trying to understand how write the results are. Suppose if I give a false negative or false positive one. Okay, suppose if I give a, okay, you can label them and sometimes you need to randomize in such a way. But your question is like, say, the company you sterilizing won't give you all that stuff. They will give you validation reports. But the point is that you should have all control documents, mainly on the validation and batch-wise validation when they do the sterilization. For that batch, you need to have all the process parameters.
On a sample basis.
Yeah, whether it's mostly of late, all are doing manual, but there are good organizations where it is more automated. Okay, you'll get the electronic copies of the process parameters. Okay, then you need to have an outward register, inward register slips. There are a lot of things when you outsource it. Okay, even the designs, I'm telling you, most importantly, the raw material.
Okay.
And the audits you need to do, like say you need to do whether quarterly audits based on the risk. But sterilization, I think that you need to do something like quarterly audits, mainly on the validations. Okay. So this interaction map I already discussed. This is very complicated, interlinked, and based on this interaction map only, I told you how the grading of NCs will be done. Okay. Suppose there is something wrong with the design. Okay, you'll get an NC for the design. But this design, if there is a problem with design, obviously design transfer is done to production. Okay, the production will also get an NC because they have transferred a wrong design to production. Okay. So your NCs will escalate. The same NC will become, instead of 1, it will become +1. I'm telling quantification of NCs, not like observation, measure, minor. That wording is gone. Okay. And suppose there is some issue with copper, you have a complaint that may lead to, you have not done a root cause analysis and still you are doing the same thing. This may go back into the design and development, why you have not done. Okay, or it may enter into management, why you have not taken proper action on that. End of the day, management will take care after the audit, I know. But these things are very, very important. Management takes care. But we should not worry about the management or the management representative. We should worry more or look into the into in the angle of patient safety, how good we are able to produce to our ability, okay, to the available resources we have, available personnel, that is what we call infrastructure, environment we have provided, how good we are doing. See, that is what the uh, management commitment should be. They should provide whatever is required to provide a quality product. Okay, sometimes we may not have all, some we may outsource. Okay, but end of the day, see that, okay, at least if you are not able to do, I know like some SMEs may not have that capabilities to purchase or finances to purchase, but you should find some logic to say that this is okay or the quality is fine. Okay, linking all this, and mainly when you do the internal audits also, you should follow the same pattern of linking them. Just don't do it as department wise. This is very, very important. Okay, Agulmati, if you are, maybe I know, like maybe after a month or 2 months, you are going to become an internal auditor after I certify you. Don't do it department wise, you do it as a process wise. Okay, link the process with others. Maybe I'm telling this to Akanksha also. Do it as a process while not restricted to department. Yeah, check it whether the NC that has arisen from that particular department can percolate to the other departments or other processes. Okay, see, suppose you have something, you have got a raw material. I mean, there is a purchase or what we call store outlet, and nobody uses this purchase. You have a store where you got the material. The material, you have not audited the supplier and you have not done any quarantine or QC of the material. It has sent to the production. Okay, and in production, you have a lot of NCs coming out, rejections coming out, non-conformities coming out. Okay, you look back, there is a problem with the stores or the purchase department. You need to link it up. And after coming to the purchase department, they'll say that this was being approved by QC. Everybody keeps linking it. Okay, then you need to raise the NC with the QC. And QC will say that we have not done it, but we have, the auditor has, I mean, based on the quality audit or based on the supplier audit, we got this material. Then you need to link it out to your, link it out to the QA. I mean, end of the day, it will go to the management review meeting, MRA. Okay, I can tell you hundreds of examples like how it can be linked. And the purpose is not linking them. I mean, objective is not to involve everybody, all departments in that. But standard stated is a process link. When you do the linkages, all that, everything will come out like where it originated. What is the root cause for this NC? Then you will have a particular system where you can eliminate, do a corrective action or preventive action, have an effective COPPA so that the NC won't repeat or reoccur again within your department or outside the market. I mean, outside your organization or in the market, that NC won't reoccur. And that root cause analysis I'll discuss when I talk of there so many like the fishbone, the tree model or the Wi-Fi. I think fishbone is the best model. Okay. That's why I say that I skipped some of this. Check each process I divide input outputs. The main important thing is you need to look at what are the inputs and what are the outputs. Are they complying? Are they matching? If there is any deviation, is the deviation or the tolerance allowed as per the validation, process validation or the product validation or even the equipment validation? And mostly I am telling you, I think I told you, if the parameters are going borderline, okay, if they're not in tune in the mean or in the average, okay, if they are going to the lower side or upper side, or to the borderlines, I think there is a big issue with your product or your process. Okay, it's imperative that it should be on, you give you a parameters and just do an XY linear chart, take the data, it should fall linear or scattered somewhere around your mean. If there are a lot of outliers lying out of the mean, or there are a lot of things that are in the extremes of the borderline, then you as an QA or QC or any person with some knowledge, common sense should tell that there is a potential that this may go outside the range and that will affect the product. So you better do a revalidation. Okay, that's the final suggestion. Do a revalidation or do an effective copy and see that why it's happening. It's problem with the machine material or the personnel. Okay, the person is not strained or the machine is gone out of wear and tear or the material is the issue. So we need to find out, and why I'm cautioning here is that this is what I have done whole of my research. Okay, why these parameters go out of range or borderline, touching the lower one and upper, or sometimes crossing the upper limits and lower limits. Okay, when they cross the upper and lower limit, this is what we call a predicate analysis. If they're crossing or even on the borderline, you can expect there will be a lot of non-conformities or complaints coming from the market. So check your inputs, outputs, and performance indicators, what we call KPIs. Okay, I think I've taken a lot of time. Yeah, I'll close it here. It's already 9. Shall I close? Okay, I'll close with one of these, only with this table. Okay, 4.2.1 is about documentation. It is very general, which says that the documentation structure, as I mentioned, it should be first you'll have a quality policy, which I shared. Maybe tomorrow I'll share some. See, some companies have like this, but I recommend when I am head of QA, what I have done is I'll have a quality manual, then I'll have QSPs. The QSPs are quality system procedures. Okay, it's like grouping some of the SOPs and making a QSP. Okay, that's the second level of the document QSP, quality system procedure. Then I'll go to the third level on SOPs. Okay, that's a standard operating procedure, standard testing procedures, whatever you call. Then the fourth level will be the records or the formats or the documents, forms, all that will come at the lower level. But when you compare the data, you basically get all the data from your level 4 documents. Okay, your records, your data will be there in level 4 documents that are the living documents that will change every day because you'll be getting a lot of reports, data coming every day, day in, day out. Okay, that is a regular activity because SOPs or QSPs manuals, basically you don't change them. Okay, the changes will happen based on your any reviews or any NCs that happen. You change the SOP, give a revision history to it, and do a revision history to QSP, or again revise the higher level quality manual if there are major changes. Okay, minor changes also that has to be done. But you need to be very, very careful about the level 4 documents which you are getting because that's are your real reports, whether your QC reports or your internal audit reports or your sterilization reports or whatever reports you're getting, that are the very key as far as clause 8 is concerned, that is monitoring, measurement, and analysis. Once you do the analysis of that, you'll understand how your device will be functioning or what is the health of your PMS. Okay, quality manual we already discussed, that's 4.2.2. First define the scope, exclusion criteria, and provide in the quality manual, please, for God's sake, your process interaction chart and table. Okay, this is what include process flow diagram for production and QA, totally mix it up. I mean, there is no issue. I already shared one with you. Okay, this is the document hierarchy, say QMS, manual, SOPs. But here you can have QSPs after manual. Many know that device, medical device file, it has a lot of things, some 15 to 20. I already shared what has to be there in medical device file. Of course, we'll discuss medical device file and control of documents, use revision is control templates. Okay, and see that your absolute documents are available but not in the workplace. Okay, and you see that there are updated documents. I'll show you some list. And I told you the other day also, control of documents records occur in every clause. They come in every clause or subclause. Because they come in every clause and subclause, most of the answers, I said yesterday, 30% of the answers comes on 4.2.4 or 4.2.5. Okay. And retention of the record, there is a big issue, like it should be there for product life cycle, or some say for 3 years or 4 years, or expiry date of the product. Okay, or clinically use. There is some issue with that, but I'll explain you categorically for implants how it has to be. For some disposables, how it has to be, mainly the control of records. Okay. Yeah, MDR always says like use electronic document, but our companies are very poor. Audit trails and 21 CR of 820. This is what I said. This is according to US FDA and Europe. But we can do it manually also, but it's always good to have adopt to modern systems of EQMS and also adopt AIML for your clause-wise analysis. Okay, we'll discuss about management responsibilities tomorrow, and sorry for taking more time. And important thing is like maybe next sessions I'll continue, but important thing is in between this next session, I mean in this week I'll be sharing a lot of documents and I'll be interacting with you on WhatsApp or some other communication mode to keep you abreast and interact with the training program. But don't think that weekends are only training, but you need to read what documents, what I'm sharing. Okay. Because I know most of you personally, I'll be talking with you and keep posting me if you have any doubts. And the most important thing is like, I'll be sharing one Google link of the QM MCQs. You answer them when you have time before the next session. Okay. If you have any questions, you can ask me or you can text to me or post to me. Fine. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, take it. 100 guys. Yeah, have a great time tomorrow.
Sir, one thing, sir.
Yeah.
If yesterday you have sent the documents for the quality manual, each clause wise, correct? If tomorrow I have to write a quality manual, so first thing I need to go with all the documents that you have shared, correct? And
Yeah,
then
just come. Yeah, you need to go through all the documents where I shared clause wise. In that
Okay.
clause, there will be sub clause. So if
Okay.
you look at the document 7, I mean clause 7 and 8 and even clause 5, they will be very
Okay.
extensive.
So
So what you need to do is combine all those pages. Actually, I have shared a master copy of that. I think I have named it as master.
QMS, I think.
Yeah, master
Yeah,
QS.
master.
Yeah, that is a total combination of all those separate documents which I have shared. Okay, why I shared separately is clause wise I shared so that you can have a better understanding. Clause wise how it look like in the quality manual. But end of the day, your quality manual will be the combination of all those documents which I already shared as a master document.
Master document. So I will
Yeah.
start with that master document, and in that start with some company name, any product, and do plus minus in it. So I should start from that document, correct?
Yeah, start from that and start from scope.
Start from scope. Okay.
Yeah, anybody can do that. I mean, everybody start doing it so that you will get acquainted with how to write a quality manual. Once you write a quality manual, then you can learn how to understand to write a SOP. I'll
Okay.
also tell you how to write an SOP or a QSP. I'll share a lot of SOPs. I mean, again, I'm telling you guys, I'm repeating this again. Sorry for that. Say, I have tons and tons of documents or tons and tons of data or either way, you can also collect tons and tons of data on QMS or ISO 134 by a click of the mouse. And I have like say uh, one one 1 TB of data, which is almost 500 GBs of quality. I mean quality data or quality document. But the point is not having the documents in your drives or in cloud, but how better you understand them and just feed it them in your minds and make them applicable. And end of the day, I mean, after the session, not end of the after the session, I want to see all of you, okay, to move ahead one step or if possible 2 steps ahead in your career. You cannot be the same face in that crowd. Okay, just move one step. I mean, based on your company, I don't know about your company, how it works. But you can push into a more advanced or leadership stage being in this format. Okay, that's the whole aim of myself teaching you all this. Okay. Of course, I mean, having knowledge is one thing, getting certifications is one thing, but really personal growth or career growth is very, very important. Okay, you should have understanding when you know all this, no career growth, obviously it comes out with some personality attitude. Okay, you should have that craving for learning. You should also be ambitious to move forward in your career. Okay, if you want, I can take that classes also, but our time won't permit. Okay, how to move further in your career, how to look at your strong points, weakness, or do a SWOT analysis. I can do it for some. I mean, I'll share. Okay, take care, guys. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Actually, I
Thanks,
think
sir.
last 20 or 20, maybe 20 minutes session may not be recorded because I limited it to some 9 o'clock, sorry, 8:45 or 9. Let me check it out after we complete this.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Goodbye, sir.
Yes.